afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a little extra video with me, your host, Imperial Dane, talking about 2,000 episodes of Company Heroes 2. Absolutely an astounding milestone in casting for me. 2,000 episodes that we put together with the almost 2,000 episodes of Company 1. That's almost 4,000 episodes of Company Heroes in general. That's also quite a lot to think about, but obviously not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about Company 2. How do I keep doing it? I suppose I'm wondering, how do you keep casting the same game for, 2,000 episodes, which is, well, roughly 2,000 days? Well, the thing is, I just enjoy Company Heroes 2. I mean, you can sort of put it in the positive way, which is just absolutely nothing, that equals the experience of Company 2. I mean, there's only one other game I come close to playing for, any prolonged period of time. That's Shadowverse. That's a CCG that's free to play from Japan, and that's it. But at the same time, I'm going to be more cynical. It's just, there's absolutely no competition in the same field. Like, of RTS, there's just nothing that can, remotely hope to rival Company Heroes 2. I mean, the closest is Company Heroes 1, which, while fun, certainly has some issues of its own and doesn't have, the smoke screens or true sight or close the pocket. Also, more annoying snipers and much more annoying Brits. So, while there's certainly some nice things in Company Heroes 1, which I'll probably get to in a bit further, ultimately I do feel like Company 2 is a better game, and ultimately just looking at competition, there is none. I mean, Dawnwell 3 turned out to be an absolutely abject failure because it turned to do what so many other RTS games have later done, which is, they're sort of looking out for this golden age of RTS. Problem is, they sort of seem to have all forgotten why it stopped. And, that way they're sort of just not really going anywhere. Even, Iron Harvest, tries to riff on Company and try to take from it, ultimately just becomes, so far, at least from what I've tried, this half experience, that doesn't quite offer, I would say, the same full experience as Company 2. And of course, that's fun, that's what I'm aiming for, but it just means for me, there's just no reason for me to leave Company 2 in favour of that, because Company 2 is just the superior experience. And in that sense, Company 2 just offers that thrill, that ecstasy of, pulling off a really nice close to pocket of a great flank or a great assault using smoke screens and other elements. And that's really what I think makes Company 2 sort of the RTS that just really stands out to me. It is just pure fun. And even while at times it'll be frustrating, that ultimately just is a part of it. Ultimately, you can't have the light without the darkness and all that, and ultimately you can't have a lot of fun if there's also the potential for you to get frustrated, because ultimately frustration does also mean you invest it into it. So, I mean, with that, I generally feel like, Company 2 is just a fun game. I, can keep playing, have fun with, keep casting, keep streaming, keep talking about, because there's always going to be something to talk about, something fun to have. In most cases, it doesn't always happen the same thing over and over again. I mean, it happens, it's usually less about the game design and it's more about, bad map design, which is actually a big thing. So, overall, I enjoy the close the pockets, I enjoy the pentagon ideas, the mechanized assaults, the large smoke screens, and all that, and certainly there are things that could be improved. I mean, I still feel like the Wehrmacht feels like sort of a not fully finished faction, because it's clear they just took the Company's 1 Wehrmacht, stripped out a lot of the key elements that made it work, like perch and veterancy and medic bunkers, and then just left it hanging there without anything to really compensate for it. And then, of course, there's some of the newer factions, which I kind of feel like sort of represent this pattern, which, by the way, was also there with the Panzer Elite and Blitzbang Companies 1, where, they introduce a faction, add a few limitations, and then to compensate for those limitations, they just make the infantry really, really good with some really, really good light vehicles, which, kind of gets silly very fast, particularly for the old faction, which ultimately can't compete with that in parts. In particular, the Wehrmacht just can feel a bit frustrating in that sense, because ultimately it just lacks anything that sort of seriously compete. Again, it doesn't have medic bunkers, it doesn't have any really good light vehicles. I mean, it didn't, say, get around to ever adding in a Panzer III to at least, somehow compete, something there. So, I feel like there's, room for still some improvement, obviously, and, and also feel like with Company 2, well, there's certainly also some other mistakes, like just never adding the whole medics in there. I know they sort of went for this whole gritty thing, but problem is, mechanically, medics actually feel really important, just, ensuring that, watch and all that didn't feel so bad, and there's also, more strategic options. So, I feel like that's one thing that they ever get around to Company 3. There's certainly rumours and talks about it, in terms of, with all those surveys, but nothing concrete, no announcements, no nothing. So, for now, it's just, pure conjecture and speculation. But if they ever get around to Company 3, I'd certainly like to see, that brought back. I'd also like to see some more emphasis on squad leaders, something which I also feel like, Company 2 should have pushed for, but sadly never quite went for. There's sort of these squad lead elements that just the extra unit basically just had a slightly different weapon, but, I feel like they should have pushed that harder, since you sort of read for a lot of, World War II sort of stuff. It sort of becomes quite clear that NCOs and junior ops and all that were usually sort of key elements in most things, and so Companies 2 never really sort of really taking advantage of that. I feel was a bit of a unfortunate development, as well, alongside the lack of medic bunkers. That, and I guess the Brits, we just felt like they never sort of learned anything from the Companies 1 Brits, which I feel were just quite loathed, and they just sort of went, well, I'm sure they'll suddenly magically begin to love them in Companies 2. Turns out they didn't. So, I mean, there are definitely some mistakes, but also I still feel like Companies 2 is just this superior and fun experience. It's just, again, the game I could just, keep playing and have fun with and talk about. So, I mean, again, a part of me probably at this stage, after 5 years, would love to see a Companies 3 and I'd love to play it, but we'll like to see if that ever happens. But until then, or some other, sudden magical appearance of, another amazing RTS appears, I mean, I'll probably be stuck with Companies 2, because ultimately there's just nothing else in terms of RTS I can keep playing that will just comparatively, I mean, it's like comparing a rich painting with a beige wall. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, because most RTS games are just stuck with boring, archaic rules that don't really try to live into any fantasy or any excitement or any interest at all. It's just, sort of the same model sort of nailed down by Blizzard back in Warcraft 1, which sort of follow almost religiously with some variation that ultimately just sort of falls down to the same thing. My apologies there. So, yeah, in the end, the reason I can keep casting Companies 2, the reason I keep playing and keep talking about it, it is just a fun game. It has closed the pocket, which is by far the most fun ability in any game I've really had, with Stormtroopers, Half again. There's just so much you can do. There's so much fun that can be had, and so unless there's some sort of mysterious disintegration, anything else that happens, I imagine again until a Companies 3 happens, or again someone actually gets through the thick heads, we actually need better RTS games than StarCraft Player number 10,002. That that'll probably what I'll keep casting and talking about and playing. So that, I think, sort of covers it. Of course, all being thankful to all of my possible thanks to my fans, their support, friends and family support as well. All of that, and of course all those who've backed me on Patreon and pledged there, and all those who've donated to me over the years. I mean, very big thanks to you all. I wouldn't be able to do this without you, since I try to do this as a living. So any support there has been massively appreciated, of course, allowing me to keep doing this year after year, and I certainly hope the support will keep flowing and keep doing this. And who knows, might one day be able to do Companies 3 if it ever happens. I do hope it does. I do hope it does. That would be absolutely amazing. Though of course the question is going to hit an actual episode 4,000 of Companies 2 or even 3,000 before that happens. I kind of hope we get there before episode 3,000. At that stage, I sort of might be wondering if Relic shouldn't be putting a bit more effort into things. But let's see. But yeah, Companies 2, an absolutely amazing game, which again has just brought me so much richness and experience and fun and entertainment throughout the years. Probably the absolute best game I sort of again have played in any recent history. So big thanks to all you who's made it possible. Big thanks to Relic and friends, family, and of course supporters. You're all wonderful, charming, and amazing people. So yeah, there you go. I don't think there's much else I can say except repeating that, Companies 2 is amazing. Close the pocket's amazing, and I suppose if this somehow trickles up to like Sega, Relic, maybe find some money for a Panzer III so we can somehow make the Wehrmacht feel a bit more of a whole faction. After you still refuse to, fix the whole no medic bunkers and purchase veterancy element. So yeah, that's sort of it here. I hope you'll continue to enjoy the Propagandacast, to enjoy my videos, to enjoy my content, of course my smooth, angelic voice. And we'll continue to support and all that. And of course for those who've been, emboldened to support, you can donate or pledge by Patreon, links there in the video description. But for now, this is Imperial Dane signing off, and see you all for another thousands of episodes of Companies 2. And I gotta stop now because I'm about to sneeze again. Bye!